I'm Alex Del Soro at the Rowers Choice Network, and if you have been paying attention to the Premier League, we had something that happened the other day that was expected among us, not expected among rowers, and that is a CrossFitter, someone who knows almost nothing about rowing, completely dominates someone who's been rowing for a long time. With me today is the head coach of the Armada, Chris Leonard, and of course, his prime time star, Kelly Valdez. But we're going to get right into an interview here. Chris, you've been rowing half of your life. You have been across the country. You've been around the world in rowing. We both know, as rowers, just how awful rowing can be, okay? And I want to know, from your perspective, what is the league doing to rowing, and what do you expect it to do to rowing here in season one?
Yeah, I think one of the big things, and I've actually gotten messages from a bunch of different rowers and coaches, just kind of shaking things up. And it's something that we've talked about in some of the U.S. rowing meetings. We had a coaches meeting for our region, a little over a week ago, just talking about how to make rowing more exciting, and if having different distances over the course of the spring is something that we want to do. But it's boring. It's not fun to watch. I mean, at Natoma, where we row, it's probably one of the better venues in the country, and you can see maybe the final 200 meters of the race. So it's like, by that point, all of the jockeying back and forth is pretty much done. And potentially somebody has a really good sprint, and that's fun to watch. But if not, you got, including the time in between races, like 11 minutes, and then you have 45 seconds of action. So I think it's cool that you've taken the action part of the race that we normally get to watch, and that's the whole thing, right? And it makes it.
It's action, it's excitement, it's energy, and we brought that day one with Kelly Valdez. Now, Chris, you have put together a powerhouse team, and you have not shared those athletes with us, and I know that we're going to see more of them. What was your reasoning behind starting with Kelly race one, day one? What was your thought process?
Kelly and I had talked a little bit beforehand, and one of the first things she said was, "Oh, I'm not really a rower, so I'm not known for my rowing." And she said it on the live stream too, and it's like, we'll throw her into the fire and see. And she was so Annie and I watched the Titan games, and we were actually like huge fans, and it's pretty funny. We got connected, and he was like, "Oh, she would be awesome." And then I looked at her profile. I was like, "Oh shit! Like, we watched this person compete. She's awesome." So figured we'd go for it and see what happens. And it turned out to be a pretty good move.
Well, you obviously made the right decision. And Kelly, I'm going to bring you on here. So, Kelly, I said the other day, you're the definition of strong, absolute beast mode, but you don't know rowing. So I would love to know, from a CrossFitter, someone who competed in the Titan games, what's your perception of rowing? When you hear someone say, "I'm a rower," what do you think?
Yeah, so like you said, I really know nothing about rowing. My really only perception is just like really long, boring, out in the middle of the ocean, just rowing and rowing and rowing. And honestly, it doesn't seem very exciting. But when we do it in CrossFit, it's normally shorter distances and stuff, so it's always kind of fun. So then when Chris was telling me about this, and he was saying that it's all shorter distances, you go head to head with people, I was like, well, I mean, I don't know how I'll do compared to people who actually row. But I was like, it's kind of something that I'm a little bit familiar with, and I'm pretty good, I think, at just going all out and just letting it hurt and doing the best.
And that's what you said, and that really struck a chord to us. You said, we asked you, what's your strategy going into the race? You said, just to let it hurt, just to go. I'm just going to go hard. Now that you've experienced the racing a Division I rower, which, by the way, Grace is a fantastic rower. So on the water, she would dominate. She would crush you any day of the week.
No, I'm sure you would.
On the erg, though, you really took charge, and you did really, really well. Knowing what you just experienced, what do you think your chances are moving into the league and going through the next 12 weeks? I mean, do you think that you are going to be unbeatable?
I mean, I hope so. I have no idea who any of the other people are that I'm going to be going against, or how long any of the other distances are going to be. So I'm going to go into all of them with the same mindset. Just let it hurt. Your legs are going to start hurting. Your back's going to start hurting, but just keep going.
Here's what's funny about rowers, and Chris can attest to this. Rowers get extremely nervous right before a race, to the point that you can't even talk or breathe, right? And having raced for nearly 20 years of my life, I know what it feels like getting to the starting line. Were you nervous going to that start? Were you nervous when you were sitting ready at the attention and before I said go? Were there any nerves?
No, but I've also been competing in gymnastics and everything since I was like 3 years old.
Mhm.
So I get excited for competition. I don't necessarily get so nervous, especially with this, because I had no expectations of myself. I was like, if you lose, it's not something I normally do anyways, so it's not like a huge deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wanted to give it the best that I could, but I wasn't necessarily like super nervous about it. As you could probably tell from the video, I'm just like sitting there looking around. I had no idea what any of those terms meant that you said. You're like, Kelly, grab the handles. But in my brain in CrossFit, you're not allowed to grab the handles until like they say go. So I'm just like sitting there waiting for go, and I got to brush up on my terms for next time.
So as we close this thing out, Chris, I'm laughing. It's like you found gold. You found gold. You discovered something. And I think now every coach in the country is going to be trying to do the same, trying to find that athlete that just doesn't know anything about rowing, but can crank an erg or crank that handle. How does your team look? Do you have a lot of CrossFitters, man? Give me some info here.
We have a good mix of people. So our open women's squad, I think, is the most diverse. We just posted yesterday. We have another firefighter from California who's a CrossFitter, and I think it's good. I mean, one of the things that we went into this kind of recruiting process, I guess, thinking was we just want to get athletes, like good athletes, and not necessarily rowers. And I'm probably going to make a bunch of enemies saying this, but like a lot of rowers are nerds and like not super fun and are like, it's just weird, right? So if we could get people that are willing to go super hard and try something new and have fun doing it, I think that's the whole purpose of this. I mean, we have one of our Masters men this week is an MMA trainer, and he trained for 7 Olympics as a wrestler, and
Wow.
he trained 26 UFC champions. Like it's a pretty interesting mix. We have another Masters man who's a software salesman. So it's fun. It's fun group.
True diverse. So I'll close with this, Kelly, and spread the word. We're trying to make rowing mainstream. That is our goal. And I think having experienced what you just did this week allows that to happen. Now, here we are, Chris Leonard, Kelly Valdez of the Armada. Look forward to seeing them week after week after week dominate. My money is still on the Armada. I will say it loud and proud. I think the Armada is going to win this whole thing. So that's it. I'm Alex Del Soto, Rowers Choice Network. Thanks for watching.